right, so now we are going to learn how to graph a different way, a more efficient way. And once you've learned how to do this, I never want to see you using a table again. This slope intercept form is what we're going to be using now, and it gets us everything we need to graph right away directly from the equation. We don't need to go through figuring out all about what points. It gives us the points. And so again, I want you to learn this. This is more efficient. It's important that you know how to do a table. Should it ever come up that you can't figure out how to graph something, you can always use a table, but just know that a table is the most inefficient way. Now we're going to learn this. So this is called slope intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, where we've got everything we need. So first of all, m is our slope. We've just been learning that. So our slope is always everything in front of the x. It's never the x. X is not part of slope. It's just everything in front of the x is our slope. And then the b plus b is the y coordinate of our y-intercept point. And hopefully by now you know that the y-intercept point, the x coordinate is always 0, okay? So when we have an equation in slope-intercept form, we've got everything we need to graph just like that. So let's do an example. So we have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5, okay? So first of all, when I have it this way, I look at it and I say, oh, it's already in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So now I need to figure out what is my slope. Well, my slope is everything that's in front of the x. So in this case, negative 1/2. Now, hopefully you watched my video where I made a face and talked about lines. This slope is negative. That means we know that our line will go this way, okay? If it were positive, it'd go the other way. And of course, then we also have horizontal and vertical lines, completely different. All right. Now, the other thing I want to take from here is, what is our y-intercept point? All right, so again, we always know that the x-coordinate in a y-intercept point is always 0, just like we know that a y-coordinate in an x-intercept point is always 0. Okay, so an intercept always has to have a 0 in it. All right, then the plus b is our y coordinate, okay? Now, always, always, always say the sign with it. So when you're putting this in here, if it's positive, you don't need to write it, but say it. Say plus 5, plus 10, plus 3/4. If we don't, and we just say 5, 10, 3/4, then when the sign in front of the b is negative, okay, we often forget that and do not pick up that negative. But if we're in the habit of saying plus 5, plus 10, plus 3/4, when that sign is negative, we'll pick it up. And there's a huge difference between where 0, 5 starts on our graph and where 0, negative 5 starts on our graph. So we want to be sure we're getting the right sign with it. Okay, so now we've got everything we need to graph. So we're going to start by graphing our y-intercept point. So whenever we graph a point, we start at the origin, and then we're going to go left or right first, because we always do x first when we're plotting a point. Well, x is 0, so that means I do not go left or right, okay? And then the second thing we do is y. So I don't go left to right. Now I'm going to go up because the 5 is positive. So I'll go up 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's my point. Okay, now when we use slope, okay, to find our next point, first of all, know that slope is never, ever a point, never a point. It is not a point, okay? Slope is just a map that gets us from one point to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, as many as we want to make, okay? It's just a map that gets us from one point to the next, okay? So, also remember when we have slope, it's rise over run. Well, rise is up and down. That's our y-axis, okay? And run is back and forth, like a dog run. So that's our x. So when we are doing slope, using slope to go from one point to the next, we always do y first and then x. So unlike when I'm just plotting a point, I start at the origin. When I am using slope, I'm going to start at the point I just made. And I never ever started the origin unless that's the point I just made. So I'm going to start right here at this 0, 5. And I look at this. So I want to be careful. I have a slope of -1/2. So I will put the negative with the numerator. That means I've got a positive with the denominator. I can't make them both negative because then a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and that would change my line, okay? So we want to be careful about that. So I'll do the -1 and then +2. So I start at this point. I do y first. So y is the top number and it's negative. That means I'm going to go down. So I go down 1. And then I do the bottom number with it, which is x. So I go left to right. In this case, it's positive. So I'm going to go right 2. And now I put my second point. And there we have all the points we need, my nice straight line, for our graph. Okay. So we have 0, 5 and 2, 4. Don't worry about how I got those. When you are doing this on graph paper, it will be very easy. You will to label this guy. If that's what you wanted to do or needed to, you would start at the origin. You would see how many spaces you went right, which is positive. So that would be your x. And then you would see how many you went up, also positive, and that would be your y. Okay, just we go back to the same like plotting. Okay, and there we have it. That is our graph. We're done. If, however, for any reason, I wanted to start at my original point here and go the opposite direction, so I wanted to go to the left, then I just change both of the signs in my slope. So if the negative was on top, then I make that positive and the negative goes on the bottom. If both of them were positive, I just change them both to negative and then do it that way. So now if I wanted to go the other direction, I would start at my point. I'll start here at the 0, 5 again. And this time now I'm going to go up 1 because it's positive and to the left 2. And there is another point. So again, a map getting you from one point to the next, okay? And that's how you use that and how you graph. Okay, let's go ahead and do another, let me do this. Let's do another example. One more. I'll leave the y equals mx plus b, so we remember that's what we're working with here. Okay. Let's do 12x minus 8y equals 32. Well, first of all, this is in the form ax plus by equals c. That's called standard form. You don't need to know this so much, but you do need to recognize it when it's in standard form, and then you need to put it into slope-intercept form, okay? Well, when I need to put this in slope-intercept form, I need the y by itself and I need it positive. So I'm just going to do all the exact same steps that I do for solving any equation. And I'm going to start by getting the negative 8y term by itself. That means I need to move this 12x to the other side. And remember, when it goes across the equal sign, its sign changes. So then I would have negative 12x. Now, the sign in front of the 32, which was positive to begin with, stays positive because he did not go across the equal sign. He just stayed on the same side of the equal sign, and we just moved him to the right, just kept pushing him farther over, so his sign stays the same. Now, I am not looking for negative 8y, I'm looking for y. Well, that means to get the y by itself, I need to divide the term negative 8y by everything that's in front of the y. In this case, negative 8. If I only divide by the 8, then I'm going to have negative y, and I'm still not there. I need to divide by everything in front of the 8. Well, if I do that to one term, I have to do it to everybody. Now be sure to do this separately. Do not just put one big line and a big 8 under negative 8 under everybody. When we do that, we don't see things quite as easily as if we do it this way. So now let's look at each term individually. So negative 8 divided by negative 8 is a 1. Anything over itself equals 1, and 1 times y is y. So I got my y by itself. Now I'm going to look at the negative 12x over negative 8. So first I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, well, negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I don't need to write that. Now 12 divided by 8 does not come out even, but I can reduce this. Think of it as a fraction. So I can reduce this. So I can divide each of these by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. And now I'm going to look at the last term. First of all, positive divided by a negative is a negative. And then 32 divided by 8 is 4. Okay, now my equation is in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Gives me everything that I need to graph this line. First of all, I'm going to look at my slope. Oh, let's figure out slope is everything that's in front of the x. So that's 3 halves. Well, my slope is positive, so I know my line's going to go that way. If it doesn't end up that way, I messed up somewhere, okay? And now I need to figure out what my y-intercept point is. Well, remember, in a y-intercept point, first of all, my x is always, well, is always 0, okay? And then I take my b. Well, remember, this is where I want to have, if I've been practicing saying positive 4, now when I look at this, I'll be sure to pick up negative 4. Well, now I've got everything I need to graph my line. So first, I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going to use my y-intercept point to graph first. So I start at the origin. I don't go left or right because my x is 0. And then I'm going to do my y. Well, I'm going to go down because it's negative, and I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my point. Now I'm going to look at my slope. Okay, I'm going to start at this point, And then I'm going to go up 3 because that's my y. I do y first. So I'm going to go positive. It's positive, so I'm going to go up. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go left to right. Well, again, this is positive. So I will go to the right, 2, 1, 2. And there's my line. Okay. Now, if I wanted to go the other direction, I would make this be -3 over -2. Negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I still have a positive slope. So let me start here again at my y-intercept point. This time I'm going to go down because it's negative. I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go left because it's negative, 2, 1, 2. And there's that point. And there's my, let's see, -4. And then 3, so 2, -1. And let me see, this one, we went 3 and to the left. There we go. And I've got all my points labeled. All right, now you try it.